This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. Guess if I hit the right button, it'll work right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. Welcome, everybody out there. Boy, it's Tuesday night again. Tuesday comes around almost every week, doesn't it?
Once a week, yeah.
Man, doesn't it? Almost every week. Gee. Okay, day's November the 7th, Tuesday. Want to welcome everybody out there, listeners on WBCQ on 5130 kilohertz, famous international shortwave station out of Monticello, Maine. If you're listening out there, you can join us on the internet at w5kub.com. w5kub.com, and you can watch the video and you can get in the chat room and join us. For all of our new people that have I guess joined us tonight and are in the chat room, if you would go up to the top of the website to the menu and click on Facebook and join our Facebook group. I think several of you have joined the Facebook group, and we've got a few new people in here tonight. Did I see Ray, N6DKZ? Did he just sign in a minute ago?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. He was a new person that joined us today.
No.
Okay, so tonight we're going to have a fun show. We've got Glenn Popil. Did I say it right this time?
Yeah, but
Popil?
we can't continue because we still say pre-show warm-up.
Well, okay, well, I'll turn that off. Let's see. That happens sometimes.
I know,
Okay,
I
there
had
we go.
to do that.
That happens sometimes. Hey, guys, we do have a little bit of a structured show tonight. Glenn did bring a PowerPoint and some projects to talk about. I'm not sure how structured it's really going to be, but we're going to try. I'm going to try to keep it on. We got Walter here tonight. Walter's in the studio, and aim that camera at Walter. Let me see if we can get Walter there. There we go. Walter's in the studio tonight, and he's helping us there with keeping some numbers and things. All right. All right. So
I think Walter has been brought in as the enforcement police to keep me from going off the rails.
yeah,
Yeah. The bad news is I met Walter outside on the way coming in.
yeah.
And we've got it all taken care of.
Okay. Well, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, that was planned.
All right. So we do have kind of a structured program, but it is going to get off the rails a little bit tonight. I'm going to try to keep it on there. With Glenn, it's kind of hard to do, but we're going to talk Arduino.
Yeah.
I know what it was. I was trying to get your name pronounced right. Popil.
Popil, just like the pocket
Popil.
fisherman guy.
You know, I called this guy Popel for many years,
Yeah.
and he never corrected me. I don't know why.
When you grow up with a name like that, it's never pronounced the same way, and you just kind of give up because you know that they're talking to you and just deal with it.
Well,
There's no point in correcting anybody.
And I always called it Arduino, and I sound like I've got this real twangy drawl or something. Arduino. It's not. It's Arduino. Arduino.
Yeah.
Arkansas twang thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's the
Arkansas.
Arkansas twang thing.
So I'm gonna have to start saying Arduino, and I'm gonna have to start saying Glenn Popil.
Yeah.
All right.
You can call me anything.
Well, look, let's see what we got going here. Katie's not with us tonight. Not sure where she is. We gave her the night off.
Gave her the night off, yeah.
She's probably out partying tonight. But again, if you're listening on an international shortwave station, send us a signal report to Tom at w5kub.com. We'd love to have a signal report from you. Let us know where you are and what you might like to see on the show. Okay, so let's see. We've added Martin to the show here recently.
Yeah.
Martin's out. We really gave him a workout the last 4 weeks, and so Martin's taking it easy tonight.
Well, no, he's not. It's a shame he's not here.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Because I was at the MFJ ARRL Day in the park also.
Yeah.
And I've got a few stories to tell about there, and I kind of wish Martin was here to hear them. We met a wonderful lady in the parking lot,
Yeah.
and she was there taking pictures. And after meeting her, we asked her, "Are you related to Martin?" And she got kind of real evasive. It was like, "What do you mean?" It depends on how you feel about him. I'm like, "Oh, well, I love Martin. I think he's the best." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my husband."
So you met Betty.
I met Betty.
You met
Yes,
Betty.
wonderful
Well,
lady.
Martin was here in the studio this weekend, and Kathy and I and Martin, we went out to dinner, and I've got some stories too I could
Oh
tell
gosh,
about
I
Martin, but
know.
I'm not going to tell them right now. We'll save them
Yeah.
sometime
Now, I
when
haven't
Martin's
done
on
our
here.
little Costco thing on the show, have I?
Your Costco
The
thing.
Costco thing where I ran into Martin at Costco.
No, you haven't.
All right. What we're going to do, part of what we're going to do tonight is talk about all the things that have gone on since the last time I was here, a couple days before Dayton. Fred and I were at Costco here in Memphis, and they had this bladeless fan on display. And this gentleman was in front of us studying it. And my friend said, "Do you know how that works?" The guy turns around and it's Martin Jew. And so Martin and I had a really nice chat there in the Costco. And we were talking about some of the projects in the new book. And when I told him about the JT65 transceiver and how we did it, his eyes just went wide. And I found that Martin has the same addiction I do. Learning new technology and finding out new things is just irresistible. So we had a fun talk there.
Well, that's cool. So
Yeah.
I always wondered how those fans work. Although there were some do-it-yourself things, I saw how to build one of those.
I haven't seen one of those yet.
Yeah, and it was fairly easy to build. All right, well, look, let's talk about Arduino tonight. Let's
Okay.
just talk about kind of where you've come since the first book and where we're going now. You
Oh
know?
well, got a couple things. Let's do this first. Don't want to show that yet. The new book finally came out. Here, hold that, Tom, for a second.
Got it.
The new book finally came out just 2 weeks before Dayton. Yeah, right side up, please.
Right side up. There
Yeah,
we go.
for the hams that are building deficient, this is the proper way to hold the book. But most hams read it like this. This book came out just 2 weeks before Dayton, so they did have it in time for Dayton. And believe it or not, they
Man.
sold out of every copy that they brought.
Let me tell you, they must have to cut down a tree for every one of these books.
Oh man, we killed rainforest for this.
I mean, that's 8.5 by 11 pages, and this is not a small book.
No,
You know,
that's 500 pages.
look
worth
at
of
that.
book.
Look at that.
And
That's a lot.
yeah. And,
That's a lot.
We've got 15 all brand new projects, and I've got several of those projects here.
All right.
And if you want to, we can get on into some of the pictures I've got, and
Sure.
we'll go from there.
All right, so let me. Are we ready to
Ready to
jump
roll.
into that?
Let's get us in
Okay, there we go.
Now, those of you that know me and know the fun I like to have, know that we've between me and Rich Moseson and a couple of others, we've turned this into the cat show. And what I wanted to do tonight is, you keep hearing me talk about my two demons, and they're literally Godzilla and Rodan, because you'll see here in a minute why. This was them when I got them as kittens at 8 months. This was last year. That's the same window. That window is 5 feet across. Now, this one was taken last week. Now, I want you to pay close attention. You see how big Godzilla is. You see the little one, and that's why I call her the little one on the right. Except, that's the little one at a cat show. And that lady is not a small lady. She's an average height lady. And for a brief moment in time, about an hour, hour and a half, she was the best Maine Coon in the world.
A Maine Coon.
Maine Coon cat.
I don't know what Maine
And
Coon is.
That's the breed.
Okay.
This, I actually had a professional photographer take some photographs of the demon child. But this is the parts thief. Come on back to me here for a second. At Dayton, we met up with Katie, and she gave us some HRO stuff. And I got a pair of HRO pens. And I came home, unpacked those, and I went to look for them the next day. Gone. And now your brain's thinking, I remember seeing them in the hotel room. I thought I put them in my suitcase, but I can't find them. And I don't know. I scoured that house for a week, and I found their new hiding place. They had stolen my HRO pens. along with a half a dozen other pieces, parts, and things. It's like when I come back from a Hamfest, they go through the suitcase to see what I brought them. So
Now, you know, I mean, I can remember one show where we had some massive feedback here, and you were on the show in your lab there, and the cats were up on the there, and oh, I know what it was. That's before we got our ring on our telephone under
Correct.
control, and it rang at about 100 decibels. And you say your cats then got spooked, I guess, and
Yeah.
parts went everywhere, right?
yeah, Godzilla was laying on the desk, and yeah, she beat it, and there was paper. It looked like one of those cartoon explosions in the room.
Man, well,
So-
have you had the cats' ears checked since then? Is there a doctor that can do that?
Yeah, actually, they do,
Yeah.
and yes, their hearing is fine.
Okay.
You know, but they are just literally demonic beasts. But
All right.
you know, that's what I've done this summer. Is we've been to a couple cat shows, and one thing before we get
Yeah.
back into the book itself, I want to talk about this really new kit place I found. Now, you know, I've been remodeling and rebuilding my house while I'm on break in between books. Friend said, you know, there's this new store in Memphis that you're going to love. They've got kits. And so we went to this store. You might have heard of it. It's called IKEA. They have kits for everything.
Good.
Well, 2 SUV loads and 600 pounds worth of kits later, we are still rebuilding the house.
They actually have little electronic kits and stuff.
No, they have bookcase kits.
Oh,
and
those kind
furniture
of kits. Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, we've been building kits all summer, and but we have been tinkering with some new ideas, and we'll show those here in a little bit. We can go back to the pictures here, and oh, you were behind us. Okay, and like I say, this is the new book, and look, my name is not blurred there, so it's your image.
Is that my image?
Yeah. This new book, it's 500 pages. It's literally 50% bigger than the first book. So when you go back to that old Popeil, you can't remember my name, but wait, there's more. There's 50% more of this book. And it covers the Arduino. We update all of the boards available. There's been so many new boards, more powerful boards available. New shields and devices. Matter of fact, that little display you were showing me tonight, that's a little 5-inch color TFT display that could be used on the Arduino. We talk about some of the I/O methods. There's some new I/O methods that we can use. We talk about how to create the projects, and that's really one of the things I'm going to focus on tonight, particularly with you having Martin here the past few weeks talking about MFJ and how they build things and everything. I wanted to touch on the creative side of this tonight. Well, you know, where do the ideas come from? You know, what kind of things there. We also cover the Android and PC side apps, test equipment, and there are 15 all new projects. And these are the book projects that we have. Would be showing you this on the book, but my hands aren't steady, and this is a whole lot easier for y'all to read. But these are the projects we have in the book, and we've got an auto power on off, and the story behind this one was funny. And that's when I was doing the first book, it was suggested that I do this. And what the auto power on off is when you start your car, it'll turn your power on. When you turn the car off, it'll shut the power off, so that you don't drain your batteries if you forget to turn your rig off. And I'm like, what's the point of that? So then I got a new car. And sure enough, first week I ran the battery down because I forgot to turn the radio off. So now that project is in the new book. We talk about, we've got the station power monitor. You know, back in the days, the old Heathkit stuff, you had the station monitors with the clock and all that stuff. I wanted to build something like that. And the AC current monitor lets you monitor your AC line current so you can calculate your electricity usage. We've got a load tester, and this comes about that at a Hamfest you want to buy a battery and you don't know whether it'll hold a charge or not. you can put it on this load tester and it will put up to a 20 amp load on this battery, so you can see just how well it holds the charge. And the Arduino will graph and monitor that output. We've got a voice memory keyer. Some of the Yaesu rigs and other rigs have got the voice memory built in, but for radios that don't, you have to buy an expensive add-on or whatever. Well, I found a little $5 voice module, and now there's a 200 memory voice recorder that you have. A remote coax switch. This came about of, right now I've got 7 runs of coax on my roof, and I don't want 7 runs of coax on my roof. And so a wireless coax switch. The concept was, yes, I could go wired, but I'd rather have it wireless and add me an Arduino display and everything. And as it turns out, the wireless module I ended up using has 20-kilometer range. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to be crazy enough to run 20 kilometers of coax, but it's kind of neat that you've got the flexibility that I don't need to worry about where my coax switch is. I just need to find one run to the tower. Wireless remote telemetry is the same thing in reverse, and lets you monitor temperature, humidity, and everything like up at a repeater site. Our repeater here in town, when it gets cold and damp like tonight, it has a tendency to condensate if you don't have some form of heat or dryer running in there. Usually a light bulb's all you need, but how do you know if that light bulb's burnt out or not? So the remote telemetry, or somebody's opened your repeater cabinet. And again, the range on that's 20 kilometers. And also with JT65, it's very time sensitive, and the new FT8 is also very time sensitive. Let's say I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I don't have cell phone coverage. How do I get accurate time to set my clocks on my PC? So we added a little Ethernet time protocol server that's GPS based, so it's the most accurate time you could possibly have. It's even tighter than the atomic clock time that you can get. You've got the Yaesu FT series rotator. The Yaesu 950, 1200, 3000, they all come with a built-in rotor interface that you can push the left and right buttons on the front panel of the radio and turn a rotator. But you got to have the really expensive Yaesu rotator to do that. So we said no, and we interfaced it to a standard CDE high gain rotator. Then we rebuilt and modified the Yaesu G450 and G800s for rotator control, just like we did with the first book and the CDE rotator. We built the 1 to 30 megahertz VFO, and if you'll come back to me for a second here, Tom.
Sure.
Show this. And we've got the picture of this as well. This is the 1 to 30 megahertz VFO. The concept behind this is we use a DDS module, a little $10 module, and that gives me extremely accurate frequency control, down to like 0.0291 hertz of accuracy. And now I can use this to replace the VFO in like an old tube rig. And now I can have digitally controlled tube rigs from a little $20 Arduino project. A couple of the other things we've got, we built an antenna SWR analyzer. It does 160 through 15 meters, and I've been seeing the comments in the chat room, and we'll discuss that R and X versus SWR here in a minute. A couple of the other things we did is we did our little 40 meter QRP transceiver that you saw here last time. You know, that's about $35, all fits in a little baseball display trophy case. And then we've got the JT65 transceiver that we also demonstrated a couple shows back, and it's using those same Pixie boards with an Arduino powering it. And this is native JT. This is a CW rig. It's not supposed to be able to send tones, and we managed to come up with a way to make it send 65 tones. So those are the projects that we have in the new book. And let's go on back here. We can show you pictures of what they look like. Your video's behind or something. There we go. Picture ahead.
That's interesting.
We're a
That's
little
interesting.
slow. There we go. A little slow on the transfer between the machines.
I think that's because we're wireless.
Wireless, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a picture of a lot of the projects in the book. You can see the load tester in the upper right with the resistor banks and whatnot. We've got the telemetry modules on the left. And down at the bottom, although I don't have projects in the book, I've got the hobby PCB and the ham shield. These are 2 meter, 220, and 440 FM transceiver boards that you can interface to your Arduino. So
Now, Doug, KD8
mm-hmm.
HLV is taking a little rig like this and he's adding all bands. He's going to make it 160 through 10.
Uh-huh.
He just has a question in the chat room about what's the peak-to-peak on that DDS VFO.
It depends on the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
These modules drop off rather quickly as you get above 20 megahertz. They start out at about 5 volts peak to peak, and I've got a buffer amplifier that will give me up to 8 volts peak to peak so I can drive tubes. And then it drops down to about 1 volt peak to peak when you're up to 10 meters. So you've got to deal, you're going to need to come up with a better amplifier than I had to get up that high.
Or maybe just another amplification stage, right?
Yeah, a better amplification stage. That's probably my weakness, is I am not an analog RF guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there was an analog RF guy, they could build a much better buffer amp than I did. Talking about the R and X on SWR, what my analyzer does, and it's typical of most, it uses 50 ohm resistors, so it's really only good at measuring 50 ohm antenna sources. So there's really no R versus X because the R is affixed at 50 ohms on the metering side. It's really just more of a comparator than anything else. It compares the incoming SWR to a 50 ohm source. So that's why it only does SWR, and I just plotted the curve. And my goal with these projects is I want simple, easy, and practical so that anybody can take that analyzer, hook it to an antenna, and see the graph and tune his antenna. They won't understand the R and X and all the other parameters, the Z parameter. They're not going to understand that. All they want to do is tune that antenna for least SWR so they can get on the air. And so that's where we go there. The remote antenna switch, you know, the 12.4 miles, you know, that was just it. That's what the board does. I'm not a fan of Bluetooth. I'm not a fan of Wi-Fi for these kind of actions. One, because there's just so many people out there that can access that stuff. These use the 915 megahertz ISM band, so there's not going to be a whole lot of people out there switching your antennas on you. So those are the projects that are in the new book. And let's go on back here and let our video catch up. Now it's caught up. This is the Pixie kit board that we're talking about. This is what is used in the CW transceiver and the JT65. And this is where I started with this book. We're getting into a little bit about the design process. And if y'all promise not to turn me in, we'll even take a look inside my thought processes. You know, make sure we all have our arms and hands inside the webcast here, because it gets pretty hairy in here. All right, this is that DDS VFO module. And this is highly accurate. It's 0 to 62.5 meg, and it costs like 10, 12 bucks. Well, we built that with it, and that's in the book. But then you've always seen, if you're reading my book, my start was always with, I started out with an HW16 from Heathkit. You know, back in the day, we all had to have a Heathkit somewhere. And I have always said, if I can find me an HW16, I'm going to slap an Arduino in that thing. And there's our VFO. And that was done with that concept in mind as well. That will be able to drive a Heathkit or an older tube rig and give me a digital VFO instead of those old nice drifty tube and variable cap. And so now, I was at the Huntsville Ham Fest not long ago. And come on back to me here. Oh, we're going to have a little bit of green screen on this. But we found our Heathkit HW8. So now, next time you see this, this will have an Arduino in it with the DDS, with a digital display. It's just a matter of how, when, and where. And let's come on back to the pictures. This is the inside of the HW8, and as you can see, we've got the variable capacitors and stuff. And let's face it, that stuff's going to drift. It's not high tolerance stuff. It's what we had back in the day. We don't have these super accurate digital VFOs that lock you in and phase lock loops. We didn't have that. We had tubes, transistors, and, big old variable capacitors. So we're going to replace that with the DDS. And that's what our output display is going to eventually look like on the Heathkit HW8. So we'll have him all hooked up and running, and probably give him a built-in CW keyer and the whole 9 yards with him. But this is just one of my things, and I was kind of hoping Martin would be on here tonight because he has the same passion I do about older rigs. And this is one of those, it's almost sacrilege to cut an HW8 like that, but at the same time, it's just something I have to do. And then, of course, we also got lucky and snatched up a Heathkit HW16. This was my first novice rig, and it's either crystal controlled or VFO controlled. They came with an external VFO. There's the insides, again, all tubes and variable capacitors. And we want to give that thing an Arduino and give it a modernization. And of course, that's the back side of it. And for, 30, 40 years old, that thing is in darn good shape. So that's, and of course, then we also got the matching HD10 VFO for it. And that thing, of course, it's a VFO. It needs an Arduino. So that's where we're going. That's the inside of the HD10. And go ahead and come on back to us. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
I was down in your lab the other day. You want to tell
Yeah.
everybody?
Yeah.
We kind of had a little slight problem here. I got some video of it.
My lab's kind of been torn down as part of this remodeling, but Tom came over and I kind of wanted to show him how things worked, and we had a little bit of a malfunction inside the lab.
Yeah, I was lucky I caught that on video there, down there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's kind of smelled like cat.
Well, they got a hold of a laser
Yeah.
presentation pointer, and that's what triggered the whole thing off. So,
Oh man.
yeah. But that's kind of where we're going, and I brought a few things with me. This is one of those vacuum fluorescent LCD type modules, and I can't decide what do I want to use as a display for the HD10 or the HW8 and the HW16. Do I want to use a larger color module? That's all part of the building process. Is what do I want this thing to look like when I'm finished with it? And that's kind of where I go. One of the things I saw with Martin is he showed you the fabrication side. And let me tell you, Martin's got a fabrication lab from where. It is just outstanding. I was fascinated watching them weld up those capacitors and wind the coils and stuff. That's just fascinating. But that's part of the creative process is, coming up with your concept and then how to get to that concept. Like, I know I want to digitize the Heathkits, but how do I want to digitize them? Where do I want to put the display? How badly do I want to cut that case knowing I've only got one shot at a cut? If I mess that cut up, I'm out. So you've got to carefully think that through and plan it.
So maybe you just make a little external that sits on top.
That's probably where I'm going to start with.
Yeah.
That's why I do a lot of breadboarding and tinkering, and that's why we blow up my lab on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, but that's some of the things that I've got and done. I think I'm almost out of ideas here. We do have this, and this really shows you how crazy things can get. This is nothing more than a cardboard tube. And we've been talking off mic, and I've been making sure we are off mic. I'm not going to tell you what this is going to be.
But I can tell you what that is, folks. That's a toilet paper roll from Glenn's house.
Above the cat litter box, right?
Yeah, above the cat litter box. That's a toilet paper roll there.
But I was shown one of our club presentations. They discussed things you could build with this, and as soon as I was given the idea, automatically that thing's got to have an Arduino. So there is some, and y'all take guesses in the chat room, but there's actually an Arduino project planned to be built from this, and it's going to be one of those really cool, wild, out there ideas. So, I think that's pretty much all the
Well,
cool
we've got
stuff
we
that I
got one
brought.
guess, coil form.
Nope, it's not going to be a coil form.
No.
But there is, and I keep seeing the chat room going back to the R and the X. The problem with that really is that you're trying to match a variable impedance, and since we used a fixed impedance on the input to the SWR analyzer, you're referencing everything to 50 ohm balanced or unbalanced coax. And you're not able to match. If you notice on the MFJ 269, he's got a variable resistor to adjust that piece. So, yeah. But now keep in mind, you're guessing ugly balance and a cat launcher, absolutely.
A cat launcher?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, that's a good one. But
an Arduino cat
it's
launcher.
going to be Arduino powered, so keep that in mind.
The cat crawls in there.
Cat crawls in there and compressed air
shoots them out. Yeah.
Yeah. While you're at it, hang my antenna for me as you go by the tree, cat.
Oh man.
But there was another question rolled by here in the chat room. 809851. Why do you want to use the 9851 instead of the 50? To me, the 50 is just so much cheaper. I think I got one in here.
There it is.
Yeah. Yep. The 9850 is just so much cheaper. These are like $12 off of eBay, and there's not really much difference between it and the 9851, probably other than the upper end frequency. So I don't know. I'm just a big fan of the cheap off the shelf parts, and I will not move on to a different part unless I can justify it to myself. Why do I need a 9851 instead of a 98? If I needed a triangle wave, I'd have to go with the 9834 because it's the only one that does a triangle wave. But like I say, I'm a big fan of the 9850 when I mess around with the Pixie stuff. So, but one of the other things I was talking about, I am going to be at the Nixa, Missouri Hamfest this coming weekend. That's basically Springfield, Missouri. We're going to be doing a full-blown Arduino forum, and I'm going to be bringing half the house. And just about every Arduino project I have will be coming up there with me. And we'll be doing about an hour-long forum, and it's all new, even from the one that I did in Huntsville. I have this problem that I really don't do the same presentation twice. I have to tweak it every time. So we're going to be up in Springfield, Nixa, Missouri this weekend. And no, because of some incidents in my youth, I'm really not allowed to play with explosives.
I'm lucky. I found this metal cylinder that had, I think, black gunpowder in it. When I was in college, it was out near a Corps of Engineers place. I took it. I didn't know what was in it. I took it back to the room and busted it open with a hammer. and I was lucky. Hey, I'm still here. But man, hey, we went out and exploded it later. Put a little flash cube in it, ran a
when
wire.
we were growing up, you could buy potassium nitrate off the shelves at the drugstore, and
Man, I mean, even today, I still feel almost fainty when I'm thinking about in
The
that
stuff
dorm
we
room,
did.
on the floor, in that dorm room, it had one of these tile floors, metal cylinder, bust that sucker open with a hammer.
Yeah, no, it's a
Oh,
miracle
man.
we survived our youth.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, there is no doubt about it. I mean, But it was also a lot of fun because we did have things like the Heath kit we could build way back when, and we were always tinkering and modding our own stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's take a quick break here for a second. Hey guys, we're in Studio A tonight. We set Studio A up just for Glenn.
Just for me.
He saw it and he wanted to be in Studio A, so we set it up tonight. Hopefully, it's looking okay. We need to do a little tweaking to it, but it's still doing, I think, okay. So let me make just an announcement or two, and then we'll get back with Glenn and we'll talk some more. We got Walter here tonight, man.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some excitement with some airplanes or something we can talk about too. Be thinking up your story, Walter. And I doubt anybody at FedEx is watching it, so you can say anything you want to.
Of course.
It looks like we only have 3 viewers on here, and they're all out of town. Anyway. Again, just want to say thank you to all the people that have tuned in tonight, and we really appreciate our listeners on WBCQ out of Monticello, Maine on 5130. If you're listening out there tonight, send us an email with a signal report. Send it to Tom at w5kub.com and let us know where you are and how you're hearing the show. Also, if you've got internet, join us on the internet right now. You can go to w5kub.com and join the show, join the chat room. Hey, we'll even open the phone lines up here in a few minutes in case some people want to make some comments or ask some questions. So everybody stand by, and we're going to take this quick break, and we will be back in just a minute. Be right back. Ring in the holidays with D-Star. Looking for the perfect gift to put under the tree this holiday season? Check out ICOM's line of D-Star radios. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Stay connected around the world with ICOM's D-Star radios. Unwrap ICOM's newest D-Star handheld, the ID31A Plus, this holiday season. Lightweight, compact, and tough, the new ID31A Plus is a great choice for any shack or those in harsh environments. 70cm analog digital, turbo mode, access point mode, IPX7 waterproof rating are some of the features. Compact and user-friendly, the ID4100A is a gift any ham would love. It's a D-Star mobile with big rig features. Its intuitive interface, variety of operating modes, and Bluetooth capabilities makes this the perfect D-Star option for those on the go. Features include integrated GPS receiver, new dot matrix display for enhanced DR mode and GPS information, terminal mode and access point mode, applications for iOS and Android devices, and a micro SD card slot for voice and data storage. The ID5100A has taken innovation and mobility to the next level. With its touchscreen and internal GPS, this radio is a must-have while accessing a situation. Features include a 5.5-inch display which responds naturally to the touch. DV to DV dual watch receives both FM/FM and FM/DV modes simultaneous. A VS3 Bluetooth headset provides hands-free communications. Show your position, course, and speed with the integrated GPS receiver. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information. All right, we're back, and say hi to Jeff there in 3V in the chat room. I see our friend Peter there, AC4PS down in Florida, is in there. Hey, we'll get Walter in here with us a little while. Walter, in a minute, you think you can pick that big stool up and get it over all this stuff and just sit in here behind us? And we'll get you on the show, man.
Yeah, we'll get y'all on the big studio.
Yeah, we'll do that, and we're going to talk about everything tonight. Let's do this. Let me go ahead and let me post the number up there. Let's put the phone number up, and there it is, right there. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. So there's our phone number. If you want to call in and talk to Glenn, the number is 901-286-1116. And we'll be glad to take your call. 901-286-1116. And I always like talking with Walter here about airplanes too.
Yeah, I've watched y'all on some of the hangouts afterwards.
You know, a guy in the chat room said he was experimenting with some, what was that, cotton and.
Yeah, they were experimenting with making their own hobby rocket fuels.
Oh yeah,
And they were
yeah.
making gun cotton and they were drying it in the oven. And he's like, yeah, he's lucky to be alive. Yeah, it's a miracle the things that we did as kids. You know, first of all,
Yeah.
half of them are illegal today.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
the other half will kill you. Yeah, it's a kind of a miracle that we made it through. But
Nearly all my friends made it, at least into adult life, and I lost a few after that. But
yeah, no, it's amazing the things we did as
Yeah.
kids, and you just
yeah,
kind of wonder. But that's kind of part of the fun about playing with the Arduino for me is you can think this stuff up, you can play with it, and there's just such a world. It's literally, if you can think it up, odds are you can make it happen. And a lot of what I do is I'll sit down and, my favorite words, wouldn't it be cool if? And same with that tube. I think when you see the finished thing that comes out of that, you guys are going to go, wow.
Well, here's my problem, and I got into the Arduino a little bit, and you helped me out tremendously. I built several projects, the CW keyboard, the CW decoder. I built a VFO using that, what is it, 9850 or whatever
Yeah,
the
the
thing
DDS.
is. The DDS, and y'all work pretty good. My problem is I'm not a software or developer type guy, and I don't understand that part. Now I can understand the hardware side, but the problem I had with the Arduino was I could never figure out how to get all the stuff in the right, what do you call them? Not tables, but right
Variables?
directories or
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Are they called directories or something?
Folders.
Folder. I never knew where to put all these different things.
Well, with the later versions of the IDE, they've actually simplified that a lot. And
Yeah.
A lot of the libraries are now self-installing. And really, that's just a
the
matter
library.
of,
It was
yeah.
libraries.
That's just a matter of playing with it and using it more. I think a biggest thing is, you were in a hurry to get something produced and finished.
Right.
And, it's like anything else. The only way you can get better at it is to keep at it. And then one day it suddenly becomes second nature and give you, I installed that library and I didn't even think about it.
Now, do you go into that in any of your books in detail about the libraries? Because that's a critical piece. If a guy can't get the stuff in the libraries right, he can't make the project work.
Yeah, I do a little bit more in the second book because that did seem to be one of the big hang-ups with folks in the first book was installing the libraries. Arduino and the IDE, the development environment, has made that a lot simpler now in that you can get a lot of libraries in auto-installing zip format, or you can just click a box off of the screen. But really, I go into just enough detail. You still have to know how to move files and folders around on a PC.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is just understanding how these files and folders are laid out on your PC. It's not necessarily Arduino, it's just the files and folders. Once you do it 2 or 3 times, it's going to be second nature. You just have to see it once or twice, write down the process, and then go.
Yeah, and like Jerry is saying there are many free tutorials out there on the
Yes.
net. There's a lot of them on YouTube. I looked at some of those, and it's you're just putting kind of modules together. Boy, you can build some neat, great stuff. For instance, man, this VFO you built right here. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff in here, but it's packed into some various postage-sized stuff, and somebody has already done that work.
Yeah,
to
they did all that work for
to
me.
build the DDS and all that. Can you imagine trying to build this DDS?
No, I couldn't
with all
do it.
these parts yourself.
Have you seen me with surface mount?
Well,
You give me a blowtorch, and I could probably solder better with
I'd
it.
probably try to build it with discrete components and stick
Yeah.
them through the perf board and.
Yeah, no, I can't do surface mount.
But yeah, I mean the modules are all out there. You want a
Yeah.
module that detects lightning, you get the lightning module. You want a VFO, you get the DDS. You want
Right. And,
mean-
and that's the thing. There are just new thousands of modules coming out. There's more every day.
all kinds of wireless control. Anything you can think of, there's probably one out there. And another thing is for people that aren't even into the Arduino, nearly all the code, or most of the code, is already written, and it's open source. Open source share. I don't know if it's shareware. What do you call it?
It's open source, and everybody is sharing the code for free.
And making their own changes.
making their own changes.
For instance, you might want to put a different switch or button in yours, and you have to modify the code a little bit. But
Right.
if you take a sketch and build it like the person said and use the software he developed for it, it's going to work. So
Yeah.
it's all out there. You don't, have a lot of problem in trying to do it. And then a lot of people love trying to figure that out and write their own code.
Yeah. Oh, I had a gentleman over in the Netherlands that I've been going back and forth with. He took that original CW keyboard that I had,
Yeah.
and apparently this guy can type faster than you know what, because he wanted it to be able. It needed 100 character buffer, and he wanted 8 memories, and just a handful of emails back and forth. He totally rewrote that program to do
No,
exactly
that's not
what
my
he
friend
wanted.
PA2 FAT. Was
No,
it?
this
Oh,
is
somebody else.
PA2. No, PA. Oh, shoot. PA0.
Something. That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
it'll
okay.
it'll hit me right after the show.
Yeah.
His name is Core, and we've been going back and forth. And like I say, it's cool to see what other people do. And by the way, you don't have to buy my book if you want this code. All of these sketches are up on the ARRL website and on my club's website, which is w5obm.us. You can get the code. You don't get the schematics. You don't get the write-up. You don't get the definitions and all the inside scoop. But you can go pull all the code because this stuff is open source.
Yeah, there's so much of it out there.
And
So there's a question. What's the difference between the Arduino Uno R3,
Right.
18 Mega, Gee,
Okay. That's actually a real simple one.
328 and
Yeah.
328P? Well, that's a lot of work. A lot of
A lot of
words there.
writing. The key word in that whole statement is CH340G. The original Arduino used a 18 Mega 16U2 as the USB interface chip for the USB port. That's on the Arduino itself. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
close. But when the other folks, all the other people that are selling the Arduino boards, the Chinese and everybody, they use the CH340 USB driver chip. And so to get your CH340 based Uno to communicate, you have to get the CH340 drivers. They're all over the internet now. But it's just nothing more than a different USB driver set. And that's the only difference between those two.
I'm more familiar with 5U4, 5Y3, and
Yeah, the monsters. The 811s, the 807.
Yeah, some of those
Yeah,
things.
my
yeah.
personal favorite's a 3500Z. I've always loved the layout.
That's
of
what's in that.
I
amp
love
right
the
there.
design of that too.
Yeah.
That is just really
Yeah.
cool. Doug here with a Dive Computer rebreather gas monitor.
Now, what is that?
That's for your breathing system and for scuba diving.
Oh.
The Dive Computer would tell you probably how long you had to stay at a certain depth as you're coming to surface, so
Wait a
you don't
minute
get the bends.
So that'd be something you'd use underwater?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think I would buy one already made, guys. I would not. I wouldn't make my own. I don't think. I mean, if I was down 1,000 feet, scuba diving,
Yeah.
that thing might go bad or something.
We survived our childhood.
Yeah, we did. We really did.
We can survive going underwater. And the gas monitors, there are thousands of gas monitor modules available for the Arduino. So that would be actually a project that could.
Doug's
easily
talking
be
about
built.
stuff I don't know what he's talking about. What's that? A thermal camera? Thermal?
Thermal camera?
Thermal.
Probably
a thermal camera.
Yeah. He typos like me.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm looking at it across the room
yeah, it's
too.
an
so,
IR type camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Arduino really has the horsepower process vision, video kind of stuff. That would really go into the realm of the Raspberry Pi, I would think. It's getting up into the higher end.
Now, there's a question there about using it for azimuth and elevation.
Yeah. I am not a Keplerian data guru. When I built my projects, they were designed to use somebody else's, such as SAT PC 32 or Ham Radio Deluxe. Let them do all the hard work. You can get this Kepler data off of the internet, and so yes, you could probably write an Arduino sketch to pull the Kepler data in. Beyond that, you're going to have to be a rocket scientist or a physicist to learn how to plug those numbers into an equation, and that is not me. But I'm going to bet that somebody out on the internet already has that done.
I'm sure you probably search it, but it's probably out there to just download already.
Yeah.
It's there. I don't know what a BH is.
Yeah, what is a type BH?
You ever seen a type BH?
No.
I don't know what I'm not sure what Andy's talking about there.
Yeah, and Mark and that 10 gigahertz dental tools, no, not me. Again, I don't do surface mount. And one of the reasons I do stick to things like the Uno and the one, they're simple, they're cheap. You don't cry so bad when you blow one up. But for people new into the Arduino, the Uno is simpler. It's easier. You can get one of the higher powered chips, but the more you get up in horsepower, the more you get into, do I need a surface mount component for this, like the antenna analyzer that's in QST. Last month, I believe it was, or this month's QST, they use a surface mount amplifier module. Yes, it's just one, but I don't do surface mount, so I'm not, I would rather do it with discrete, through-hole lead components.
Yeah.
A BH is that a lousy rectifier cold cathode.
Not familiar with that. WS7 JOS, he says, hey, surface mount's not that bad. I've done some surface mount stuff over the years, and I do have a nice a lab microscope here for surface mount work. Not the little USB camera, but I've got a real microscope, and it really makes things much bigger. I can take a straight pin and put it under there. That thing looks like a baseball bat. In fact, and it's so big under there, you're moving it around, and it's sometimes a little difficult to move it.
Yeah, no, that's what he's WA7JOS is saying. It's easier than through hole. Just need different sets of skills. Let me tell you, those are skills I don't have. I don't ever see me having. That's just not my ballpark. I learned to solder more years ago than I want to talk about. Dirt was new and improved back when I learned how to solder. So,
well, I've been soldering for over 50 years, and when I went in the Air Force, they actually sent me to a NASA school. It was called micro miniature soldering. Yeah, micro miniature soldering, and you take a little course and you do the stuff, and the instructors look at it, and you get a certificate. And now I'm certified in micro miniature soldering, NASA, but I haven't really used it for anything.
No, and that was way back when.
Yeah, I was like 1970.
Yeah, that was about me in 1973.
Yeah.
I got a soldering proficiency
Yeah.
certificate from the company I was working with for the very same thing, and and like and I agree. Surface mount, it's just a different way of doing things, and kind of like you talking about how you have problems with the files and folders with the Arduino.
Mm-hmm.
That's me in surface mount. Either I don't have the patience or whatever. Yeah, focus. I just don't have the focus for surface mount. I'm a through-hole guy. I always will be.
Well, at my age, your eyes are probably still pretty good. At my age,
I wear
I
bifocals.
don't see. I do too.
And
I can't see the little bitty parts as good as I used to. And you ever notice wearing glasses? They just really restrict you. You need to get up under a car dash and look at something, and you're wrong distance from the wires or something, and they're crooked, and it's just, oh gee, it's just terrible. But
Yeah.
let me tell you a little story about soldering some surface mount stuff. Many years ago, this was about in the 70s, we had a station, a TV station in Memphis up on Clark Tower. It was a microwave station. It was called Golden West. Golden West, and I think Gene Autry owned it. But what it was before cable came to Memphis. It was the movie channel.
Okay.
But it was microwave. And you could pay, 40, 50, 80 bucks a month, and have this little box put at your house and an antenna aimed at it. And you get this one channel, which was the movie channel. Of course, we got the book every month that, had the you
listing of
know,
movies
yeah,
and
all the
stuff, yeah.
movies and everything, the times. But anyway, it was called MDS. The service was called MDS, and so there was a way to build an MDS receiver where you could actually receive that free. That's before they scrambled anything, and basically it was a little gas-fed transistor, had a couple, two or three little surface mount components, and you tuned it. You know, it had a voltage-controlled oscillator, and down, you know, that was all up in the box up at the little dish you built, and you varied the voltage at the bottom, and that would change the frequency. And if you were, you know, if you had it set up right, you'd get it. And we built a little 3-foot dish and put it on the tower, and we watched free, like it probably wasn't HBO, but it was a movie channel back then. But the point I was going to make is, we started building those. All the hams in my little community wanted to build one, so we started building them, and I had quite a bit of experience, you know, soldering and building and so forth. And there was this little 16-year-old kid down there. He was a ham. He's going to build one too. Well, we had trouble making ours work. You know, we had trouble. And we went down to his house and out in the garage, and he was building another one. And he was using one of these soldering irons that you solder gutters with.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, you know, a 500-watt soldering iron. It was probably, the tip was almost an inch in diameter.
Yeah.
And he was putting those parts on with a soldering iron that you would solder gutters with.
Yeah.
And you know what? His units would work.
And I bet they looked real good too.
They didn't look too bad. I mean, it was a little, it wasn't, you know, totally clean, but his would work. And boy, we had trouble making ours work, you know?
Embarrassing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it really is.
But my first experience with surface mount, well, you know how you've seen the aftermath of a nuclear explosion with those big char marks on the earth? That's pretty much what the circuit board looked like when I was done there.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, W4GHV says, looks like he took the same soldering course
you did.
maybe in the Air Force since 54. Oh, he's been a ham since 54. See, I probably took that course. I got out in 73. I probably took that course. I took that course probably in 69 is when I took it, you know. Jeff says he can't hang out much longer tonight. He's got to go to bed, man. Jeff, N3V up in New Jersey. Go to bed. It's getting late up here.
Yeah, it's getting dark and
cold.
cold.
You know, I don't know if it's 9 o'clock here or 10 o'clock here.
No, it's 9.
We changed the time.
It's 9. Trust me. It's
my atomic clock was off an hour.
Actually, it's 8:59.
Yeah.
But another hour just flew by.
But you know, hey, that reminds me of a saying that I read. This Indian once said, you know, the white man's foolish if he thinks he can cut 2 inches off the top of a blanket and sew it on the bottom of the blanket and have a longer blanket.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what we're doing with daylight savings time. So I don't know. Why don't they just say, when we get daylight saving time, why don't you just say now you got 36 hours in a day?
Yeah.
And it would have, you know, like 12, 13, 14 hours of daylight.
Well, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, this was originally Ben Franklin's idea, and although that man came up with a lot, I think this is one of his worst. And that is, my understanding is, it was originally designed for farmers to give them more hours to work in the field. I'm like, you know, most farmers don't live by a clock. They go by sunrise, sunset. It doesn't matter what the clock says sunrise and sunset is.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I am no fan of daylight savings time. In the spring, it absolutely just messes me up to no end, getting up that hour earlier. And then when you have 2 cats the size of my monsters that are used to being fed at 6 a.m., when the clock changes, they're still on old time.
Here's what I would do. I would build this little Arduino box that drops the cat food out.
I need to work on that. I actually had one of those built 30 years ago. I had a relay.
So let me, hey, Walter.
I got a couple of questions.
Yeah, I saw those.
Well, first of all, let me ask Walter something. Walter, I mean, I don't know if you're in a hurry to leave or if you're sticking around a little while. If you want to come back and join us, if you can pick that stool up.
I'm good for a little while.
You put that stool back here. Bring it. Hand me that mic right there. And bring your chair back here and come on back here and join us.
With the pad.
Yeah, yeah.
And while they're doing that, a good recommendation for a small soldering iron station. I got mine off of eBay. They're like $70 or so, and it's a hot air gun and soldering station with variable heat controls on both units. I'm sure Tom has something.
I've got
very
an air
similar.
one here that just blows the heat, which actually unsolders, is desoldering what it
But
is.
mine is actually both combined. I've got a soldering iron and the blower with multiple tips. I only paid like $70 or so off of eBay.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of it in my book, but I'm not going to make you spend $25 to buy my book just to get a picture of the soldering iron.
See if I can help Walter.
But I would really, I'm just not a fan of the daylight savings time. You know, they say it's for kids to go to school, then why not school hours? You know,
Walter, bring a chair in. I'll see if we
like
can get
you
it back
say,
here.
I think it's, you know, programmers are the ones who got the most out of that deal because every time you change it, it wasn't about 15 years ago, didn't they switch into March and October?
Here we go.
Come on around this
You know,
way.
they shifted about 2 or 3 weeks earlier,
Yeah.
way back when.
All right, come on back. You're doing good.
Gene, as soon as they
Doing
walk
good.
past me here
You're doing
and
good.
don't kill me with this chair, I'll look in my book and see what mine is. I have a picture of it.
This is my copy now.
That is not your copy now.
Sit down back here, Walter.
Yeah,
Let's
but
see.
that's part of my problem is I can't leave this stuff around.
Take that mic, Walter. We got Walter in here with us tonight. Walter is our FedEx wide body pilot, so we always get into airplane talk and everything. I don't know if that mic is
Testing. Is this on?
That's his mic.
test 1 2. Okay,
Test,
we're doing
test,
okay.
test. There we go. You get a little bit of a green line over there.
Yeah. So anyway, Walter's been keeping the numbers tonight, watching the show, watching the chat room, and we gave
behavior on the chat.
he's our behavior policeman
He was the one
tonight.
that was supposed to keep me in line tonight.
Yeah.
There we go.
John says he leaves his clocks on your DST all year. What do you got?
They wanted to know what model number. Let's see, you want to go to the little camera here?
Sure.
See if we can do that. All right, this is the one that I have. It's called GQ 5200, and you can see on the left side there, it's got the heat gun, and that's great for heat shrink, by the way, as well as surface mount. And then I've got the soldering pencil there on the right, and I've got adjustable controls for airspeed and temperature, as well as the actual temperature for the soldering iron and the heat. That's what I got, and I think I paid like $70 for that off of eBay.
All right. Well, nobody called in. We had a lot of questions on the chat room tonight. I tell you what I'll do. I'm gonna open up Hangout, and that way, if somebody wants to join us on Hangout, they can do that. So if somebody will post the link in the chat room, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up Hangout over here. Maybe we'll have UPS or somebody come, a pilot from UPS watching. Any pilots out there for UPS?
We should, yeah, just for.
Let's see if we got anybody else out there. Let's see. I got to click a few buttons here, but
And while we're talking about soldering tips and techniques, something I discovered a few years ago, you know how we all used to use those sponges that you would wet?
yep.
Several years ago, I found this, it's kind of like steel wool in a tray. Radio
Yeah.
Shack used to sell them, and you can get them at Dayton. That is the absolute best for cleaning a soldering iron tip.
I put one down. It's this little jar,
Yeah, and I won't use a
little metal tin.
I won't use a sponge ever since I got a hold of those little steel wool type cleaners.
Wouldn't that would potentially kill the heat real quick on the tip of that thing?
Yeah.
I don't see anybody on Hangout tonight. Sometimes Hangout doesn't work right, but
Well,
I don't
gave
know.
them the
I don't
link
think
that
we
was
had
at the top of
anybody.
the screen.
Did you put the link in here?
Yeah, I did.
There
Okay.
it is. There it is.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, the link is in here. If you click on that link, you can join us on Hangout, and you'll be on the show. We usually have a few regulars that get in there.
Jeff's gone for the night. So
Jeff's gone.
Hey, it's the first day after time change. Nobody's got their act together yet.
Everybody's still-
Yeah.
We're all
yeah.
still tired and worn out and everything else.
Well, guys, tell us how you like. Boy, my mic is hot tonight. Tell us how you like Studio A tonight. We thought we'd try this for Glenn tonight. We had to do a little rearranging in here to make it work, but we could probably fine tune it a little bit and make it look a little bit better. But I think overall
I think
it's
it
doing
looks
okay.
nice. Like I say, this is probably the closest that I will ever be to the big time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's wonderful. This has been fun. Of course, we always have fun when I come on here.
Yeah. All right. Nobody's in Hangout, so we'll let it ride here just a few more minutes, and we'll see if
Call it good for the night.
we'll
Yeah.
see if anything happens here.
Anybody else have any questions or comments that Tom or I
Hang out afterwards.
can answer?
Don has quit.
Walter can join in here.
Now I think I saw a question earlier about operating HF again. Walter operated HF from the A300.
Yeah, exactly right.
Tell me the difference between the A300, the A320, and what's the other one? Is there
We got
another
the
one?
A380, but that's a 4-engine
Well, we
model.
have the 300s and 310s.
The 300s and
The
310s.
320s and 319s are the ones referred to as the baby buses.
Okay.
They're the low ones.
Okay.
So basically, you're telling me if I was to get on a flight, I'd be flying on the short bus.
Yes.
Okay.
Most likely.
Well, that's probably the one I need to be.
Oh,
on.
we got
Unless you were-
Bill on here.
unless you
Let's
were,
see.
in
Let's see.
Emirates somewhere.
Let me
Flying
see.
through Europe and that sort of thing. Then
There's
I
Bill.
wonder why you're there in the first place.
Yeah, no. I don't want to. No.
Hey, Bill, how you doing, man?
Yeah, Bill's
you-
in there. Doug's trying to get in.
Are you there, Bill? Bill? I don't know what's happening.
He's frozen.
He's sitting
Yeah.
awfully still.
Yeah,
He-
me at all.
Yeah, he says he's here. Okay,
Yeah.
let me see if I can get our picture on here. Let me add. Let's see.
Tim, that's a trade secret. I am not going
Skype.
to reveal what goes into the cardboard tube.
Let
One of the
me,
things we didn't get into tonight,
Add.
we have not discussed where I'm going from here. I've basically been on a 6-month break
There.
in between books, where I'm going to go next.
Do that.
There's been several topics of discussion.
And let's see.
One, we want to update the mesh book or the networking book too, because there's just been so many changes in the mesh technology. But then also there's been discussion about a Raspberry Pi book for ham radio that there's a big void. And then of course the number one is everybody wants an Arduino 3. And my problem with an Arduino 3 is I need another 15 projects, and I only have about 4 or 5 right now. So it's kind of like, where am I going from here? I don't know. The tube idea, if there is an Arduino 3 book, it will be there. If there's not going to be an Arduino 3 book, or that's going to be delayed, that's actually going to be probably a QST type article, because it's just one of those, kind of like the lightning detector. It's one of those things that just went wild and crazy from the minute I saw a cardboard tube. So, that's kind of where we're going. But no, I'm not going to talk about what's in the tube until it is actually finished and working. That way I don't look like such a fool if it doesn't work. I can just say,
And we're all sworn to secrecy.
yeah, they're all sworn to secrecy. They got to see it. But it will be something that most hams will be very interested in. It will have application for a lot of things. And I think it'd just be flat out cool.
And you can always pour concrete in it and make a concrete form with it.
Right, and beat the cats over the head with it.
Yeah.
Or I like his idea about a cat launcher.
Yeah.
Cat launcher.
Sure.
That would be cool.
Jerry, if there is an Arduino 3 book, we're actually probably going to fall into the middle between the first book and this one. This second one was pretty much a challenge of how crazy and far out there can you go with the Arduino and make it work? And that was pretty much a challenge to myself. One, because I want to know how far I could take it. And two, there's a lot of people that wanted some real high-end challenges. So that's why we went with what we did in the second book. If there's going to be a third book, we're actually falling back to more intermediate projects, more, I don't want to say simple projects, but nothing as crazy as a JT65 transceiver, for example. It will be more like a VFO or a station monitor or remote telemetry, something of that nature. And again, at this point, that decision hasn't been made. I have promised the world that I will not even consider what next book, if any, until the house remodeling is done, and I have about another, probably a month to do on that. I'm painting the outside. Now I got 11 rooms worth of inside to paint. We're counting halls,
Wow.
bathrooms.
Did you get with it?
I'm
So you can
painting.
start on the next book? Never rest.
Well, my biggest problem is my shack has been down since March, and I do have the VHF stuff up, and then I hear 2 meters opening and stuff like that, and I'm like, 6 meters is open. I'm like, if I touch the power switch,
You're rolling.
I'm rolling paint, and if I even try to set the radio up, I will never finish the house. So it's like I can't play with the radios. I'm grounded until I
Yep.
paint the house. And now I'm down to like I say, there's counting bathrooms and halls and stuff. It's 11 sets of walls, and that's what I'm down to.
There we go. We got Douglas joined us there. Douglas is the one that asked about the peak-to-peak voltage, I think, in your VFO.
Yeah, the peak-to-peak voltage on the DDS.
Yeah.
Actually, I take it back. The DDS has like a 1.0 volt peak-to-peak. It's not 5 volts. That's what my amp does. It gives me 5 to 8 volts peak-to-peak. The DDS itself starts out at 1 volt peak-to-peak, and I actually did a plot on it, and it drops horribly. It's down to 0.4 volts at 10 meters. So it drops off
Wow.
pretty bad. What do you want for a cheap $12 module? They're not RF engineers either.
So tell everybody, there's Tim's talking about using the Pi, I guess, Raspberry Pi. I guess the Raspberry Pi is a little computer where the
Here we go with that
Arduino's
Arkansas twang, the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, the Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi.
And the Arduino is not a computer, right? It's a
No.
controller or something. There's a difference.
Yes, the Arduino is a microcontroller. It is designed to flip bits, toggle digital lines and analog lines, things of that nature. The
Pi.
Raspberry Pi, I was reading Jerry's comment here. The Raspberry Pi is actually a miniature single board computer. It's a Linux computer that big. It doesn't have a hard drive. It uses solid state drives. But it's literally a Linux PC. And that's the big difference between the two. But right now there are, to my knowledge, no ham radio books talking about Linux and ham radio with the Raspberry Pi. And
That could be your next one.
well, I'm sure if I opened my mouth and told ARRL about it, they'd probably want me writing it tomorrow. But
Are they going to come paint for you while you do that?
yeah, well, Jerry's offered, and Jerry, do not tempt me. I would buy you a plane ticket and a heartbeat to get out of this painting. So I mean, heartbeat, and plane ticket and food. Okay.
Oh, no, not food, too.
Oh, and beer.
Would you throw in a newspaper?
I'll throw in a newspaper
Oh,
too.
my gosh.
Yeah, I hate. I'm so sick and tired of painting. It's not funny. We were talking about this summer here. It's been 100 degrees right up until about a week and a half ago. So you go outside, you paint for about an hour, and you're done. And you're so worn out you can't do anything the rest of the day. Did you turn off the WBCQ, by the way? Didn't need to.
They'll turn it
Gene,
on.
I'll bite. What's the land of 13 tomatoes?
Hello.
Hello, hey, Mark.
I'm so sick and tired. 13 tornadoes Sunday night. He's in Central Ohio.
Oh, I can't read it from back here.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
tornadoes. Yes.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Out in the Air Force, I was in Altus, Oklahoma for a few years. That's out in Tornado Alley too, and I think we had 19 tornadoes one night, and it came on the TV. They quit blowing the siren to let it cool. You know, that's
Yeah.
the way they announced. Yeah.
Well, back I originally came from Miami, Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida, then went to Birmingham. And my first experiences with tornadoes. Now, I grew up and I spent 20 something years in South Florida. We had hurricanes and all of this. And when I moved to this area, and really it was Memphis more so than Birmingham, and all the tornadoes and everything, I was more terrified in my entire life because a hurricane, you've got time to plan. Yes, they're devastating. Yes, they're horrible, but you know it's coming. You've got
You can get
time.
out.
You know where it's going. You can get out. We'd always, board up all the windows and everything. Tornado, you don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how
No,
it's going
they
to
come
happen.
fast. Huh?
And most of them happen in the middle of the
They
night.
were bouncing this weekend in Ohio.
Yeah.
There were bouncing tornadoes and bouncing wind.
Well, I'm on the road a lot. I cover 50 school districts in the northern end of Mississippi. So I drive 3,000 miles a month and don't cross a state line, and really don't go into the southern 2/3 of the state. And typically I'm on the road during those spring days. And the last time I was out in any kind of inclement weather was the day that tornado hit the mall up here about 8 years ago. I'm
So you
sitting there-
guys keep your tornadoes and your hurricanes down there. I'll just shovel snow up.
There you go.
There you go. That'd be a
Yeah,
lot
man.
easier, wouldn't it?
But yeah, I was stuck in traffic and I saw that thing coming, and I was right in its
Yeah.
path. And fortunately, traffic moved just enough for me to get out of the
Well,
way.
look, I know there's a chip, and you've got a thing in your book about the lightning detector that detects lightning strikes, and it tells you how many kilometers away they are. And the night you brought it over and we showed it on the show, it was actually picking up lightning up
It
in
actually-
Bartlett,
yeah.
I think. They need to make one that picks up a tornado.
Yeah, but I don't think a tornado generates an RF signature.
Yeah, I don't know. They need to try to figure out.
Yeah, if
you
a
know.
tornado generates an RF signature, then yes. But I don't. The lightning. If you
Yeah, the National Service National Radar Weathers do not pick up tornadoes until it starts picking up debris.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So unlike lightning, that has, if you listen on the AM radio, lightning pretty much has a signature at 500 kilohertz, which is just below your AM radio band. And if you listen to your radio when there's lightning in the area, you hear a distinct pattern to this lightning. It's not just static. It's not just a burst. It's kind of a lengthy burst with a pattern in it. And that's what this chip does, is it analyzes that pattern to see if that matches what it thinks is a lightning strike. With the tornado, I don't think you have an RF
No, I'm
signature
sure you
that
don't.
you can do that.
Well, I know, and Walter might tell us more about this. I know at FedEx, I've sat out on the tarmac there, waiting to leave, and the lights that would come on. They, like in Miami, they've got some lights that would come on. I guess
Right,
the weather, the blue
lights
lights
off
or
the
whatever.
umbrellas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that what was? That's just severe weather, I guess, or
Actually, they claim those are radar detectors that within whatever the distance is, 8 miles, 10 miles, whatever it is, and those lights come on.
oh, really? They come on by themselves. I mean, they're
And then theoretically they close the ramp.
yeah.
Well, there was a thing in the chat room earlier talking about Tom Hanks when we were talking about FedEx and you.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, when they shot that movie, I was working in the room right behind the control room where they had him filmed. I was in the tech support area right behind that
That's
control
cool.
room that Tom Hanks was filmed in.
Very cool.
Unfortunately, I was working midnights and they filmed during the day, so
Yeah.
I didn't get to see him there. But
I mean, he didn't get to see you.
yeah.
Tim Allen's got a ham license.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well,
But
you
they
know,
took away his show because
you know,
he got his ham license.
Well,
Hey, wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait, hey, Tom, hold
Yeah.
on a second.
yeah,
Mark, you made a statement, right?
yeah.
Well, let me ask you something, Mark. Real name.
Hey, what?
What?
It's not Tim Allen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, that's
Okay.
Let's
that's not
see.
something.
Let me look here. Let's see.
Yeah, but that's not something we need to be
Yeah,
putting
here
out
you
here.
go.
Sounds like Bill's had too many hot chocolates tonight.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
just
know,
wanted to
you're
check,
talking
Mark.
about.
We went, you know,
You're talking about Tim Allen here. Let me show you something, Doug. Let me show you something.
Yeah, while he's doing that, I'm going to tell you, Don, you say snow's a 4-letter word. In Mississippi, a
Yeah.
single snowflake means that I get the day off. Okay? I pray for snow flurries.
Damn.
All right.
All right? I mean, seriously,
Snow flurry.
they will close the schools under threat of a snow flurry.
I don't.
Yeah,
Let me-
they would have to close the school.
So, Doug,
I'm sure ain't gonna have.
let me jump back to Doug. Doug, you see this picture right here? You know who that is?
Yeah.
That's your Tim Allen right there,
Uh-huh.
and me. We did a show from out there. We did a webcast. If you want to find it, it's on our YouTube channel. But we went out to Hollywood, took our show out there, and we webcasted off the stage of Last Man Standing. That's me talking to Tim Allen out in the parking lot behind the studio after a rehearsal one day, and I convinced him. He did not want anybody to know he had a ham license, so we broke on the show. He gave me permission, and we broke it on the show that he got his ham license.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've got a picture up
that's
there
cool.
of
Oh,
us with John Amadeo.
Oh yeah, and this picture, right? Let's see. Let me show you.
And that was fun because that was my first webcast here.
Yeah, that picture in the center there. That's with the virtual presence device. That's where we bring people in on right there. Wait, let's see. I hadn't switched it yet. Let's see. There we go. There you go. That is actually the producer. That's the producer of the TV show Last Man Standing. That's John Amadeo, and we brought him in on through the virtual presence device right there that night. And that was one of the first shows we did on Arduino, and that's Glenn's back there. We were talking about using Arduino to move his arms and everything, and have John control it from out in California.
But yeah, we've had some fun. But now, Jerry, you're talking about the snow. I used to work for a company, and it seemed like I always got my headquarters trips in the middle of November, December. You know, so yes, I have spent snowstorms, and if you remember, the Minneapolis airport is where they filmed the original airport movie. And one of my last trips there, I was literally the last flight leaving the airport because of the blizzard. Driving to the airport is like driving in beach sand. The roads were, foot and a half deep. I'm sure you guys are like, yeah, we do that all the time. But, this is Miami boy doing this. And it was the last flight. And literally, as the plane took off and turned left, they shut down the runway lights on us. And I'm like, whoops.
Guys, there's a picture of the smartest guy in the world.
Man,
There's a
yeah.
picture of the smartest guy in the world there. And he's standing with me. Look at that. I mean, I'm standing with him.
You're
Wait,
standing with him, yeah.
wait a minute. Wait. The smartest
He's
guy.
standing with me. No.
I don't know what I was trying to say.
You've got that all twisted. I know what
yeah,
you were trying to say, and
yeah.
I wasn't going to let you get away with it.
There I am. Well, fortunately, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but you might know Dr. What's his name? Michio Kaku, or I
Michio
can't.
Kaku.
Yeah,
That man is just amazing.
This guy, you'll see him on the. I mean, hey, he's a thorough physicist.
I love
kind of like Sheldon on The Big Bang. That's what this guy is.
He's in real life, and I love listening
Yeah.
to his stuff. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But,
I
Oh,
wonder
man.
if Sheldon is even half as smart in real life as he is on his show.
Probably not.
yeah, we
I don't
couldn't
know.
handle that. What was so funny is after that show, Tom ended up giving me that Bazinga shirt.
Oh yeah.
But
Let's see. I probably got another picture here from Hollywood of let's see, of Mandy. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here's Mandy. If you ever watch the show, this is Mandy right here. She played the daughter. Well, she doesn't have a license, but that's Mandy right there, holding up one of the QSL cards that shows her sitting there operating on one of the shows.
yeah, talking about here in the chat room, talking about Hawking being smarter and signing up for his free email and stuff. I don't know if that's Dr. Kaku or Hawking's email. They posted Hawking's thesis dissertation on the school's website,
Oh,
the
really?
college's website, and it crashed the website.
Oh man.
So many people went to go read it.
Oh, really? What school was that?
God, I can't remember. Is it Cambridge over in England? I don't know.
Don't know.
No. Certainly somebody in here will know that answer. That's the power of open source. Somebody in that room has the answer for me. Or somebody can get to a web browser and Google it faster than I can.
I could break a server, but it wouldn't
Yeah.
be for anything good.
Well, here's our. This is on the stage of Last Man Standing here. This is our. This is our set that they built for us. Yeah. You can see they put the little the store back there and put some chairs in there for us to interview people. And now we had some real professional people. See all the lights and stuff. Boy,
Yeah.
we had union people, man. You
Yeah,
need
you had
lights,
some
we'll
serious
get
stuff.
them, man. You need electric cord run. You know the union guys, they'd run the cords, and they took care of us out there.
Walter, they want you to speak up when you
Okay.
talk. Compared to us, you're just too soft spoken. You'll never get through the pileup.
Well, you get,
no.
yeah, there he is.
But
Okay, I don't know if we got anything else here interesting. Let's see.
now I'm all out of goodies. I didn't want to bring a whole lot tonight. And you've seen most of what I have in the new book, and I haven't had time to build new stuff. I will say that my lab bench is chock full of stuff waiting to be worked on
After the paint.
after the paint.
All right. Hey, when's Veterans Day coming? Yeah, isn't it coming soon?
11.
Saturday or something. It's the 11th.
Saturday.
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 Yeah,
I think it's Saturday.
It's Saturday,
Yeah,
the
Saturday.
11th.
Oh man, we need
Well,
to, we
right.
got to do a show on veterans. We got to do a show. We'll maybe make one for veterans.
Well, I'm going to be up at Missouri, so I'm out.
There we go. There's my veterans picture right there.
Well, see, they saw me coming and canceled
Yeah.
the draft.
Oh man, well, hey, the draft was going in. Believe me, right there. Look how old that was, man. I mean, we wore, our fatigues were the old olive drab. I mean, we didn't have this fancy stuff. Didn't have the fancy stuff like they have now. And Bill, you're the same way, right? Yeah.
No,
He was in the Navy. He was in the Navy, man.
I would have gone into the Air
I
Force
was-
and
I had
literally.
the Cracker Jacks there, the blue with the white piping and
Oh yeah, the little Cracker Jack guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
But yeah,
The
just
Cracker
literally
Jack guy,
like the
yeah.
year or 6 months before I had to register for the draft, they canceled it. So I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And then, of course, literally a year later, I am working at a military research facility.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I did my military service kind of through the back door.
Well, that's okay.
When I was there, we were building and designing the engines for the F-14, 15, 16, the Blackbird, the F-117,
Yeah.
and a few other cool things.
Now, guys, I was real skinny back then. I only weighed about 125 pounds right
Gosh.
there. But let me tell you something.
What a twig.
We might look kind of bad there, but we just 1 minute before this picture was made, we just came home from a survival school. I'd been in a survival school for 2 weeks, and I think we were ready to take a bath right there.
Yeah. But,
yeah. Search evasion and
Well, Don says he made it through the draft. He was 265. I don't know. I don't even know if I ever got a number.
I
I just
never
said
got a number, so-
I just said they're not going to get me for 2 years. I'm joining for 4. And
Oops.
then
That's what I did, and I got rejected. I enlisted in '68 in the Navy. When I
Yeah.
got out of high school, I said I wasn't going to college. Didn't know what I was going to do. Everybody was getting their draft notices, so I went.
Yeah.
The heck with it. I enlisted in the Navy. Go 4 years with training.
well,
I took my pre-induction, and I got sent home as a medical reject.
man, they should have medically rejected me. You had to be 120 pounds when I went in. And I was 119 when I had my physical made, and they took me anyway.
Yeah, and mine was a skin rash, eczema,
yeah?
eczema.
Yeah.
I tell you that you had to have a sandwich overnight, Tom. So when you weighed in the next day, you'd be the 100.
Well, they probably told me just to go out to the water fountain and drink about, you know,
Yeah.
4 or 5 ounces of water.
That's
Yeah.
what you said.
Tape
Yeah.
some
Recruiters
fishing
used to
weights
tell
to the
the
bottom
kids,
of your
they tell
shoes.
them,
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I had an eczema eczema on my hands and stuff broken out, which is hereditary.
Yeah.
And I was rejected from the draft and everything. And I sat down with the guy from the Navy and I said, why aren't you taking me? I'm enlisting. And he said, we know you got the rash, the eczema. If we take you, you're in more than 90 days and it flares up where we have to give you a medical discharge, you'll be eligible for all veterans benefits. They sent me back home. And I had friends of mine with their draft notices coming up with bad heart slips and murmurs and
Yeah.
feet, and they were all getting. And so I gave them my chance for Uncle Sam, but they didn't take me.
Yeah. Well, here I am with another famous person.
Yeah, we see that.
Yeah.
The
what
clown
was
on
that,
the left.
Ohio?
Huh?
We see the clown on the left there.
Yeah, where was that, Tom? Was that in Ohio?
No, I was down in West Memphis, Arkansas.
That.
What is it?
I'm sure Ronald made it to quite a few different McDonald's.
This and this.
Yeah, he's sitting in our McDonald's here too, on the bench.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah, Jerry.
Smaller.
No, Cliff was talking about by
They've
by
taken
joining,
that
you
chip,
got
made
to
it a
kind of
small
select what you wanted to
surface
do
mount.
in the military or where you wanted to go.
with the
So
display.
Yeah, see,
you
I
know,
wanted to get some
Oh,
kind of a
that's
trade.
that's fine.
I'd join the Air Force.
You only
You
need
don't get a
this.
chance to.
So
You, you don't tell them where you want to go.
Right.
Into the USB
List
port on my PC.
preferences,
Well,
and then they within the needs of the military in that direction.
well, you know, I joined the Air Force because I really didn't want to go in the Army or the Marines, and
Scary, isn't it?
plus I made a high enough score I could get in the Air Force, but you know, I joined that, so you know, but then you know, I ended up in a special gung ho outfit in the Air Force called the Fourth Mob, and we played Army for 2 years. I'd been better off probably going in the Army, but
Yeah, the only time they would have taken me during Vietnam was they reclassified me that it would have to be a declared war.
oh
Then I
really?
could have been taken. I could have enlisted and gone in. So.
Yeah, and here's hey, man, I love this right here. Let's see, I love this shot here. Are you guys related? No, sir. No relations.
Better pull in the
And
bottom
you better
lip.
pull in that bottom lip. Might get caught on a trip line. Yeah, that was a good. That was a good show. Good show.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I could say, I gave Uncle Sam the chance to take me. So,
Yeah. Well, you did.
so then what I do, I wound up with a career in law enforcement after that.
Yeah.
Well, you did something more for your country.
Yeah, and if I could have, when I went back home, I still had to finish like 2 months of high school. That's when I did the enlistment, the early enlistment, and I had to go back to school. And if I could have rubbed that rash on guys, I could
Yeah.
have probably sold it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something.
They
Let
were
me tell you
getting their
something.
notices and off they go.
You know, hey, our hangout kind of gets gross sometimes. We talk about, you know, things, you know, colonoscopies and stuff like that. But hey, when I went in for my physical in the Air Force, they sent about 8 of us into this one room to pee in a bottle. All 8 of us were in at the same time, and I don't remember exact words, but you know, do you want some? You want some of mine or this? Or they were trading pee in there, I guess, so they could
Pass
pass.
the drug test, yeah.
Yeah.
18 confirmed tornadoes in Ohio Sunday night, November 5th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Up to 18 now, it was 11, then they said, or 9, 11, and then it went to 14.
Wow.
Well, that's a lot.
18?
Like I say, we had I think 19 one night. Boy,
I
they
remember.
turned the sirens off to let them cool, and I don't know.
Yeah, we don't worry about that up here.
Yeah.
Like
What?
it was different for me coming from Miami. My first tornado, it just freaked me out.
So Walter, let's talk flying that big heavy airplane through a tornado, man. Think would it fly through a tornado?
I'm not going to find out.
I mean, you got a lot of power in that thing, and it's big. I mean,
It would
let's go
fly
around.
for a little
I
while.
mean, they fly these hurricane hunters into
but
into
they're-
hurricanes.
They're stressed a little higher than we are.
A, they've got
Yeah.
the wing loading for it, and B, they're at high altitude.
Yeah, but just think, a tornado's only probably a few hundred feet by the time you go through it like a
Can you
bullet.
imagine the wind shear inside that
No,
thing?
speaking of flights, here goes the medical helicopter right over the roof of my house. That was knocked.
Actually,
Oh,
the
boy.
train of the eye was 35 miles.
Started
across.
rattling the windows.
Pressure,
Now-
pressure was normal.
There was one year back when I was flying with a company doing tech support. I had a 2.5 hour flight from Atlanta to Birmingham, which is normally a 19-minute flight.
Yeah,
Problem is, they should have held us on the ground, but they didn't because they needed that plane on the West Coast. Thank God it had full tanks of fuel. We took
Yeah.
off, and there was a front coming in. We took off, and they said, there's a hole in the front. We can get you there. By the time we got in the air, it had all closed up. The front was generating, F3, F4 tornadoes. We literally flew north all the way up to Chattanooga, south all the way to Montgomery, skirting that whole frontal line the whole way. That is the most expensive roller coaster ride I have ever been on. And I'm sitting there, I'm in a 757, and I'm watching these wings flap like a bird, and I'm like, can air snap these wings off of this plane? 'Cause
oh man, yeah.
it was pretty darn.
See, I'm not getting paid enough to do
I-
that.
All right, let me tell you. No, I had a similar experience. I flew back from Hong Kong one time, and there were very few of us on a plane. It was the last flight of that plane, and I think it were on that. I think it was I think it was a 747, if I'm not mistaken. There was only 3 or 4 of us on that whole plane. Yeah, I don't know how that worked out that way, but
They all knew what was coming.
yeah. Anyway, we got into, and maybe Walter can talk about this. I guess I don't know if it's called a downdraft or what, where it feels like the plane falls like 100 feet. I mean, you're just weightless for like, 100 feet, and then it levels out, and then another 100 feet, and it did that. It did that for hours and hours, man. And the pilot said, of course, he said something like, hey, we've been kind of busy up here, hadn't had a chance to talk to you, but man.
And that's pretty much
Did
the
you
way.
see in the news today was it United? Their last flight of a 747 was today.
Wow.
I didn't know it. No.
I was there. I saw one of the first 747s fly into Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, dear Lord.
So Walter, do you of course you're a pilot. You have to fly that plane every day. Does it bother you when you get in? I'll call it moderate turbulence, right? Turbulence. I mean, me as a non-pilot, I sit there and I hold the armrest pretty tight, but then I start thinking, what good's that going to do?
Yeah.
But how do you as a pilot feel? I mean, that just normal. You don't worry about that, or
It's not a comfortable ride. You hear people all the time. A lot of the passenger carriers, if it starts getting a little bit bumpy, they're looking for a different altitude to try to find something a little smoother.
I guess with the
Yeah.
cargo carriers, like, you got what you got.
Well,
what color is it? Blue.
it kind of is. You get what you get. I have been through severe turbulence, and it was quite uncomfortable.
Well, I've been on some planes there where the turbulence has been really rough, and fall to a control central there and ask permission to either go up or down a couple of 1,000 feet, so that they could at least have a safer ride.
Yeah, enough of the guys talk, and they'll tell the controller, well, it's rough from here to here, smooth above 31. The best ride is here, best ride's there, and then a lot of people, depending on your direction, start trying to get close to that altitude.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, NE4RD's on here. He said he flew the 747 simulator.
That'd be fun.
One time,
That would
I
be
guess.
fun. That was one of the things I enjoyed when I was at Pratt Whitney. Is right up the road on the same facility was the Sikorsky Flight Research Center, and they developed their commercial S-76 equivalent of the Bell Jet Ranger there. and they had a full-blown simulator for it. And I got to, since I was tech support, since our equipment was the hard drives used to drive that, I got to fly in that simulator a lot. But they also, the Blackbird, not the Blackbird, the Black Hawk helicopter, all of the flight tests were done there at dusk and dawn to avoid the satellite overpasses. So I'd be coming in at sunrise in the morning, and there's the Black Hawk just hovering off the tarmac going down.
One of the most miserable flight hour I have is in the Black Hawk simulator, trying to just get it around the pattern and back and land. And it was for a fixed wing guy. It's
Yeah.
There's nothing intuitive about it.
No, it's totally different.
And it was miserable for me.
It's backwards every way you think about it.
Yeah. We crashed.
Did you? Oh man.
Yeah, any 4RV, that was who ran the AS-76 simulator there at West Palm, was flight safety. I was good friends with the maintenance chief there. And so it's kind of like anytime I'm working night shift down there, and I'm just on-site support. I'm supposed to be there if something breaks. If nothing breaks, I got nothing to do. So I'm, bored up my butt. And we'd go down to the flight, to Sikorsky, and me and him would play in the simulator all night long.
So, Walter, what kind of flight simulators do we have at FedEx here in Memphis? Or do we?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we've got several. We've still got the 757, 67, 777, Airbus
Wow.
simulators, and a lot of those more than one or two of each type.
The A300?
Well, yeah,
Say the A300?
we've got 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah. All right, so you're checked out on a 300. Do they put you on any of the other simulators, like the 767 or 757?
No, you don't
or-
do that unless if I was going to change seats for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and you go through training, then you do all that. But I'm for me at this point, there's no incentive to change, so it'll just be the Airbus until I retire.
So if you were jump seating one night on one of our 767s, and the co-pilot comes back to you and says, "Is there a pilot in here?" And you said, "Well, I am." And he takes you up there. The pilot's.
Oh, you could fly it.
He had a little too much to drink, so they need you to fly.
That's Delta.
Is it that Delta?
touche.
So you're an A300 guy. Could you sit in that seat and pretty much fly that plane? You think and land it? Could you land it?
I could work the gear and the radios, and he can do the rest of it.
I will tell you a story about Delta. I am thoroughly convinced that Delta hires nothing but ex-Navy carrier pilots. Have you
Yeah.
been through their landing at Atlanta?
Yeah.
I just keep looking for the tripwire because when they put them things down, they slam them into the.
By the time you get into a chance to land at Atlanta, you're ready to get it on the deck.
Yeah. Oh, I mean.
You know what their new mantra is?
What's that?
We're not happy until you're not happy.
Oh man.
I used to be one of the highest mile people on any Delta flight I stood on, and it was amazing because this was back, and literally I'd be on a plane like every other day, flying somewhere doing tech support, and it was really funny because I had all these flyer miles. So what am I doing? I'm going to fly to a cat show. I took the cats and we flew with all my flyer miles, and it was so funny.
Here's your onboard cat carrier.
Right.
That's what it's going to be. That's my
Yeah.
guess.
No, I actually had an honest to God, but it was so funny because I only flew U.S. Air with the cats. It was Delta for work predominantly.
Did the cats care?
I got a story there. But one day, and see, all the ticket agencies knew me on site. So, I mean, I'm standing in line and they're keying in, Birmingham, Atlanta. And one day I'm there and he is just keying his heart out. People are in line, and in between people, he'd be keying his heart out. And I get to the front of the line, he's like, "You're not in the computer." I'm like, "No, I'm on the flight to Dallas. I'm on vacation." It messed him up. But I actually had a cat that, my original show cat, she would rather fly than drive.
Did she tell you that?
It was pretty obvious.
Okay.
But
I would too, depending on where you're going.
we were going to Madison Square Garden, New York at this particular time.
Oh.
And this was, U.S. Air had these little, what are they, the Fokker F-19, a little tiny twin jet, just one step up.
They have an F1. They had an F-100.
Maybe it
Fokker
was.
one.
This may have been
Yeah.
its predecessor or the same thing.
So like one seat and two.
I mean, it
Kinda
was
like.
it was one step up from a puddle
What
jumper.
are you trying to show us?
Yeah.
And
My QRP,
What are we looking at there?
Yeah. What is that? Your QRP rig?
my
QRP Pixie.
Yeah.
Oh. But literally with what is that inside?
What is that inside here?
What's
Yeah,
inside
what's the
of
case?
There's a speaker.
What,
Isn't there a
no,
speaker?
what do you use for the case?
Is that a gutter?
the bottom half of a container from one of my drink mix.
Ah, there you
Oh
go.
yeah.
But we were going to Madison Square Garden, and this was on that little itty bitty plane, and I've got the regulation size aircraft under the seat carrier, and I bought her a ticket and the whole 9 yards. We were 100% legal. And here I am trying to shove this cat carrier under the seat, and it's barely fit. I mean, it didn't want to go. And the flight attendant comes up to me and is like, "What are you doing?" Here we go. I've got a ticket for my cat. She's going under the seat. No, she's not. Lady, I have a ticket for the cat to go under the seat. No, she's not.
You're gonna get arrested.
And I'm like, can we get somebody here? Because I have paid and this cat goes under the seat. She says, no, she's not. The seat next to you is empty.
Yeah.
Take her out, put her in that seat because we're bringing her a ham sandwich. They would literally,
Okay.
they
Wow.
You don't have tuna fish?
Yeah, you want to talk about feeling about that small, but they had seen us fly so much, and they just loved the cat. And you'd put her in the seat, and she would literally sit there, and they'd bring her the ham out of a ham sandwich, and she'd sit there and
So she did better than you did.
did better than I did.
Man.
Hey,
But yeah, we had some
Time
fun
and a half.
times. But any 4RD, I was at Pratt from 77 to 84 with a short trip back in 85, I think. And then I moved on up to Birmingham and was there until 94. And then somehow I ended up over here. Did a couple contract stints at FedEx and 7 years at, can I say this and people aren't going to kill me and wait
What's
for
that?
me out by my car? I did 7 years working the backbone network at IRS
Oh.
data center here in Memphis. And matter of fact, I came on board just shortly before they moved from the airport facility to their new one.
Over to where they currently are.
Yeah. And
My son's working there now. He's been working there for a couple of years.
at IRS?
But he don't want people to really know that. I don't know
No.
if he's watching out because he said if people think you work for the IRS, they go out there and stick knives in your tires and they treat you bad. So
Yeah.
I forget what he says. Oh, he says tell him I work for the Treasury Department.
But see, I was lucky. I worked for a company called Network Systems, so I was just a contractor on site.
Just a
so
vendor.
I was just a vendor. But they used our routers for the backbone. And it's kind of funny because those mainframe level routers compared to what we have in the commercial field today, we looked at the high end stuff from most of the manufacturers today, and they're tinker toys compared to what we had there back in the late 90s. We were moving some serious data. We were moving mainframe level data from Memphis to their sister site in Martinsburg, West Virginia, I think it is, Martinsburg, Virginia. That was where their sister site was, and they were literally mirror image mainframe, multiple mainframe links.
All right, well, guys, I
Late 80s,
think
90s.
we're going to shut down the webcast. It's about peanut butter
It's
sandwich
going on almost
time.
11 o'clock. Here.
It's about peanut butter sandwich time. So
yeah.
Yeah, we always run long when I get here. You know that.
yeah.
11. Yeah.
And hey, we didn't really go off the rails too bad tonight.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
Yeah, I'll see if I wake up to a foot of snow in the morning.
Let's see what's temperature here. It's 57 or
Yeah.
51 or 51.
52 degrees here.
Yeah, 52
Oh,
here.
I got a balmy 24 here.
Oh boy, man.
8.7 out.
Now I get to drive down to beautiful Sardis tomorrow.
So hey, Mike, you got you one of them gas-powered snow blowers.
We sure do.
Does everybody up there have a snow blower?
Yep. We got snow blowers, we got shovels, we got plows, we got what we call Youper scoopers.
Youper scooper?
Is all that stuff wife size so
Well,
she
you
can get
go
out there and
online
shovel snow?
Google a Youper scooper.
Do we
and
really
you'll
want to
find
know
out
what a
Youper
Youper scooper is?
Man. Does your wife do the wives up there know how to operate that equipment?
Yeah, some do, some don't.
Yeah.
Some don't want to.
You know, Bill out in he's out in Montana. Yeah, he said the snow's melting out there now. So
The winter is yet young.
man, I tell you, you know, hey, we're gonna get it bad here. Hey, when winter gets here, we're gonna get it bad this year. I bet we get an inch.
Nor-
You think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, at
It'll
least
shut the whole city
Oh,
down.
God.
I bet we get an inch, and I'll lay money on it. It'll probably last at least 4 or 5 hours.
oh, that'll shut the city down for a
It
week.
will. It
They'll
will.
get a week off from work cause of
Take a
that.
week off from work, yeah.
If it's real overcast, you'll get an extra day.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad. You know, like you say, having been in Minneapolis and up north, and you know, you guys get 3 or 4 inches, and it's like, huh, that's a flurry. You come
Yeah,
down here
that's a
and you
dusting.
see 2 flakes, and literally there is not a loaf of bread, a jug of milk, nothing in the grocery stores. Now, here's my take on this. All right, why do they buy milk? If you have no power, the milk's going to go bad.
Drink it fast.
And
Wait.
most,
When I was doing all my deployments in the military, we went out camping out when it was snowing, and I would take my Coca-Colas and just stick them out under the edge of the tent in the snow.
Bingo.
Set it outside.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, but us Yoopers, what we do is that where we keep our beer cans cold.
Ah,
yeah.
but see,
yeah.
that was the thing when I was in Birmingham for the big blizzard we had back in, shoot, what was that, 88 or whatever. But I mean, literally, it shut the town down for weeks, and I had no power, and everybody's panicking, and I'm like, I just go to the fridge and I take everything and stick it outside on the deck in the snow. I'm like, my beer's cool, I'm
It's
good.
not that hard.
No, my
Yeah.
beer's cool, I'm good. So,
Now we're gonna have to give Bill up Massachusetts some demerits there. I don't know what that noise is.
But we'll blame it on him.
Well, it was him.
I don't know. We're walking
I think.
around some room there.
Yeah, we're walking now.
Uh
Not me. No, it's quiet here.
oh. Nope,
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah, he's walking.
But yeah, I got to pack up. I'm gonna have to go to work tomorrow. Darn it.
Oh no, yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to let you guys do and call it an 8-2. I
It's
see
a
it's
short
almost
trip,
11
so-
o'clock here in the OUP.
today I had to go all the way down to Winona.
Yeah, you're just going to have to take a trip up here in the middle of the
82?
winter, Tom.
Basically,
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
that touches Highway 82,
Well.
east, west, and north is mine.
I'll get up there one day.
And you know, tomorrow
Yeah,
is.
go check Green
no, tomorrow's
Fairground,
Hickory
see how it
Farm,
looks in the
actually.
winter.
What was that? What was that,
Thursday
Mark?
is
I didn't hear you.
They go out and take a check out and see how Green County's fairgrounds look in the winter.
But I
Oh,
normally go.
Well, we
I
do
go to
have
Wednesday,
one ham
once a
fest
week,
in
it's about
February
2 hours.
up here in
Bus round trip on
Mansfield,
each
Ohio,
way.
at the
4 hours on the
fairground.
road.
They have it in 3 buildings.
7.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see if the lake kicks up. Last week, we had
originally
waves
tried
on Lake
that.
Superior at
And I'm not
24
allowed
to
to work
28
over
foot high
weekends.
waves rolling in. So it's,
And so
we'll see if it
it's
kicks
kinda
up again tomorrow with the storm
Man,
coming in.
won't that-
I'm calling it a night, guys.
hey, let me ask something about them big waves. Won't that wash up some of them big old ships that sunk out there?
Yeah, there's a few of them. The Edmund Fitzgerald is still down the bottom.
Yeah, that thing may end up on the shore there one night, man.
They did a lot of damage along our Lakeshore Boulevard along the shoreline in a park with those waves last week, and they're still looking for 2 bodies they haven't found in
Oh, man.
over a week. So
Oh.
they got washed out. Lake Superior, the legend says, does not give up its dead,
Yeah.
and they still haven't found that couple that got washed off the rocks in the north side of the city on that storm last week.
Well, you know, they did find another body from that airplane that went down last December when they came up to like the cabs. They found another body. They find parts. Oh, they're finding.
All right, guys,
Something eerie.
I'm gone. I'm gonna
Yeah.
sign out. Good night, everybody.
7-3,
We'll see
everybody.
ya.
Good night.
Catch y'all later. We'll see you next time.
It,
All right,
Oh, that was fun.
close this out right
Although
here.
my butt hasn't moved out of this chair.